Ancient Egypt, its people, and its culture are so intriguing to us today, but because there are so many interesting ancient cultures to study and learn about, we don't always get to dig as deeply into it as we would like. One of the most bizarre and curious things about the ancient Egyptians was their belief system, and it is so amazing that it has kept the entire world captivated for thousands of years. The ancient Egyptians had a complex and fascinating religious structure that explained and was part of every area of their lives. They were polytheistic, which means they worshipped many gods. The ancient Egyptians believed that their gods were very active in nature and in their lives, and most of the rituals and actions the Egyptians took part in were focused on making sure the gods were pleased with them. Every single event, from life and death to changing days and seasons, were associated with a specific god or goddess. Unlike a lot of monotheistic or single god religions, the ancient Egyptian gods and goddesses were not believed to be distant and removed from the people who worshipped them. The ancient Egyptians believed their gods had wants, needs, desires, likes, dislikes, and relationships just like humans. Because the gods were given very specific roles, some of them became very important in Egyptian culture, and they were drawn, painted, and sculpted more often than the other gods. This is why, when we study ancient Egypt today, we hear so much about Horus, the oldest god, Ra, the sun god, Isis, the mother goddess, and Osiris, the god of the dead. Like a lot of modern rulers, the pharaoh was a central figure in the Egyptian religion. Scientists and historians haven't been able to decide if he or she was considered a god. It is more likely that the pharaoh was considered to be descended from, or related to, the gods. However, the majority agree that the pharaoh was probably considered to be a little bit of both. Pharaohs were human and had human faults and weaknesses, but the ancient Egyptians believed that the right to rule or be a king was a special and divine, or God's given, right. The pharaohs were usually believed to be the children of Ra, because they controlled society in the same way that Ra controlled the seasons. They were also always connected to Horus, because he was the god of kings. The most famous aspects of the ancient Egyptian religion are their beliefs about death and life after death. They believed that after they died, their hearts were weighed by Anubis, the jackal-headed god of mummification and the afterlife. If they had lived good lives, their life force, or Ka, could join up with their soul, or Ba. If they lived bad lives, then these two forces had to be separated forever, which they believed was very bad. One of the things we studied during our unit on ancient Egypt was their practice of putting food, clothes, and favorite items into a tomb with a mummy before the tomb was sealed. Knowing about the Ka helps us to better understand this. The ancient Egyptians believed that the Ka, which had survived off of food and water during the person's life, needed those same things after death in order for it to keep existing. This is why the Egyptian tombs were filled with so many interesting things when they were discovered by archaeologists thousands of years later. The ancient Egyptians worshipped thousands of gods, and their beliefs shifted and changed as their culture did. While this seems like a lot of information, it doesn't even dig that deeply into the information that is available. The gods of ancient Egypt and the myths and stories that were developed around them continue to be influential to this day, so if you have the chance, make sure to explore this topic even further.